Welcome back, South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original brought to you by 94 WIP. Ashlyn, Sullivan, Al Morganti breaking down the first game of the season. The first week of hockey is back, and this week in Philadelphia. It has been a doozy. I'll tell you what, the power of Philly, though. I was just watching Get Up on ESPN. It's Friday morning, and the entire first 20 minutes of the show was about Philadelphia. It was about the Eagles losing. It was about the Phillies blowing it. Shockingly, the Flyers did not make the cut of the first 20 minutes of the program, but I'm sure it'll be in there eventually. It just goes to show the power of it.
It's just an add-on, but it was a very strange night. We were, I guess, fortunate enough is the word, to be down in the middle of it all when all this was breaking at NBC. And I felt I haven't been through so much here in Philadelphia, watched so many heartbreaking losses. I know the fans want to be mad at everybody, but I felt so bad for Kirkering. I just couldn't. I put myself in that spot, having watched hockey, an own goal in Calgary that a guy had to live with through his career, and then came back and won. And I just thinking maybe this will be the story that he comes back. I mean, for as much as these fans can be tough, they can help lift you up too. So, man, there's a lot to sift through on what went out, and we had a firsthand look at all the emotion that goes with it. And as you said, the Flyers certainly aren't the headline in it, but it was it added some unneeded spice to that sauce, I guess.
Right, and I think the reaction, at least I've seen, is Philly can lift an athlete up, and you're seeing a lot of one play shouldn't define a player's career, and we've seen that countless times in Philadelphia and in hockey in general. So I'm curious the response to this, how all these teams turn around or try to, because I've never seen, my almost 3 years here, I've never seen something like this where they all go down at the same time. Yeah. But it leads us to the Flyers, the first game of the season. I think you can look at this two ways. A 2-1 loss to the Florida Panthers to start your year. We saw this on the schedule. We said, oof, tough way to start the season. With that said, they normally play the Panthers pretty well, especially last year. But you look at the reigning Stanley Cup champs, you're like, geez, tough first game. And they hold their own. They're in that game for much of the game. But you can also look at the lack of offensive firepower. You can look at the lack of defensive depth and be worried about it. But I think we have to chalk it up to it just being the first game of the year and kind of have to wait and see how this plays out a little bit.
Yeah, I actually thought they were going to win the game. I
did too.
The Panthers, missing a couple of guys. They already had their opener. They had that emotion there. And the Flyers, I don't exactly know, but I do know they've been very good in opening games for whatever's happened in the past decade.
They have lost the past 3 opening games of the season.
Yeah, they haven't lost an opening game forever.
Yeah.
They've been really good to come in opening and the opening sequence of the season. I think we got that, we were surprised, Ashlyn, when we got the goaltender news, right? Okay, Erson's not going to start. But we'd been talking about it throughout the training camp. We didn't think that Erson looked that good. And I guess the message is, there's no money in the bank here. Well, whatever Rick Tocchet and his team of coaches think is going to help them win a game, they're going to go with. And I thought that was the surprise to me, not only that it was Vladar that started. I was surprised. I was shocked, but I was surprised that they would do that because they knew it would cause some ripples. But maybe, Ashlyn, that they wanted to cause that with Erson to try to get him to say, you know what, this should be your job. There's no question in my mind. This should be his job. And he's had opportunities to grab it before. So that was a surprise to me. And Vladar played really well.
Yes, he did play very well. And I don't think it's a surprise to anyone within the Flyers organization. And I think it's so true to say that why put all your money in the bank with Erson, with a new coaching staff? It's very much, what have you done for me lately? I think it's no argument. Vladar did look better in the preseason. I wouldn't say it's by a huge margin. And I think that's the bigger story here is, again, and this has happened the past 2 seasons, neither goaltender has separated themselves from the conversation. So I do fear, which, again, you can look at this as a good thing. I fear it's going to be this guy one night, this guy the next night, a little back and forth, which you can then make the argument, do you have one if you're having both play so frequently?
No, you don't. You don't. You're in a spot now where if you're looking at it through the lens of the rest of the league, it's like, well, the Flyers have 2 backup goaltenders. That's why you want one of them, one or the other at this point, to come in and be the guy. And, our presumption was, okay, Erson's the guy and this guy's going to come in, because Erson it was an awful lot for him to handle in terms of so many games, expectations. But I think even Erson knew when this guy came, you come in and you have an opportunity to establish yourself, to get your career, and like, this is a starting goaltender. Vladar's at least through one game, small sample size, as they say. But, there's a little bit of selfishness that goes into every athlete at any level. And boy, if I was one of these guys, I'd want that job. I want it to be mine. So we'll see if Erson can pick it up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm really curious about. We have to assume that Erson's going to get the start on Saturday against the Carolina Hurricanes on the road. I was talking to our producer, Joe Fordyce, with NBC, and he's like, is he though? Like, is that a given that he gets the start on Saturday? We're going to have to wait and see. But I would imagine it'd be one game here, one game there until they have a bigger sample size of what this is.
Yeah, I would assume Erson's start. Now that would be a surprise.
Yeah.
To me, that would be a really strong message the other way. I would think that would be the surprise if that happens. And I think the biggest plus that can come out of this is he has a really strong game, and then home opener, he's right there in net, and they go from there. I think that's what their preference would be on what happens, but we'll see. It's not an easy, obviously Carolina's chance to win a Stanley Cup again. So this is going to be a tough one, and the way they play is really, really. It's a tough hockey. It's overall good defensive hockey. So it's going to be a challenge for this team, because in addition to that strong goaltending, they just didn't have much pop offensively.
No, and I think that is the bigger issue right now when you think about the first game and just the impressions of it. But as a whole, I was not surprised, because I know Rick Tocchet is a very passionate person and coach, but his post-game comments about needing the players to believe in the system for a full 60 minutes. And when he highlighted Noah Cates' line, he said that's a line that's believing in the system. It's unrealistic to think there's going to be an immediate buy-in that you're going to see 100% of the time the first game of the season. But I almost got a sense of a little bit of frustration from Talk of, why aren't we here yet?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he's he spends a lot of time. He's a teaching coach, obviously on ice. Blades on the ice kind of a coach. He's seen him with the whiteboard at practice throughout the training camp. It goes on. But, when you look at that Cates line, as much as you can say they bought into the system, it's just a good line.
Yeah, they can buy into the system.
Yeah, when we mentioned last year, how many times I said I think Forster's like the smartest on-ice guy that they have to be in the right place. So Cates can go and just really be a dogged performer. There's no surprise. I think a new coaching staff coming in, because Cates' status in the league isn't that big right now. And, you think, oh, he's overachieving. There comes a point where I don't think you look at it as Cates is overachieving anymore. It's like, it is what it is. He's not elite, but he's good, and he works hard, and he's improving. And he's improving, to me, rapidly in little things that a centerman must do. So, I think that's the solid point. Isn't it funny that we come in and we talk about the guys that can really light it up in terms of elite skills and stuff. But again, it's that line that works hard, goes to the net, and does little things, all the small things, as they say in Colorado, and gets things done that really turn into the real stars of that game.
Yeah, I think it's going to take some time, because there are some pretty big changes. And I know Tocchet was not frustrated, but he kind of gave us a silver lining when we talked about the expectations for the season. He said the line changes, the details of the game, getting into the next play. He predicted that was going to be an issue, and it definitely was the first game. TK is an example of that, a costly mistake, changing lines. But it was almost like Tocchet kind of gave us a hint, like, pay attention to this, because this might be an issue at first.
Yeah, all coaches hate that, but especially if you have a team that's has to kind of play above itself at times.
Yeah.
You can't have extended shifts and make mistakes like that. It's just, especially, Ashlyn, if you have the elite goaltending and you have defensive depth or whatever, maybe you can cheat a little bit like that. But with a team, the Flyers aren't going to get away with many, especially against Florida. You make a mistake against that team, even with two big players out of that lineup, they'll make you pay for it. They'll you're gonna overextend your stay on the ice, get tired. You're gonna make a bad line change, have some open ice. We saw it happen right there. They're gonna make you pay. So the Flyers are gonna have to, and it's grueling mentally because there's literally no time off on the ice there. Like they can't glide at all, and that's going to be the demands of this coaching staff, I think, to do all those small things so that it doesn't turn into a goal the other way.
Right. And you mentioned the defensive depth. If you had that, you would be able to cheat in other aspects of the game. But that might be the biggest issue with this team as we get ready for getting into the first week of the regular season here. It's just unfortunate. Cam York with an injury. Danny Briere spoke this week. It could be a couple of days. It could be a couple of weeks. We don't know the extent of it. You're bummed for him because he dealt with, injuries a lot of his career. Rasmus Ristolainen, you're wishing he was back. I don't think that's going to be where he comes back anytime soon. So right now you look at a guy like Zamula as your defensive depth.
Yeah, and that's that third pairing, and especially Ashlyn, it shows up on the road where your matchup is the home team gets to match up on things like that. And what it does, in addition to the third pair being struggles at time, it also puts pressure on your, Sanheim playing 25, 30 minutes, whatever. That's a lot to ask. I mean, he's been a horse, no doubt about it. But I mean, that's a lot to ask, which is why, in addition to that, taking penalties early really puts some pressure on them. And when you don't have that kind of confidence in the defensive pairings that you're sending out there all the time, it's tough. And it forces you to play a game very defensively. To avoid some of that, and it puts the goaltender in some tough spots. Vladar played really well, but that really is going to be an issue if they don't kind of strengthen that thing there. Zamula's been a guy, dude. You keep thinking, is he going to get to that next level? And he's again like we mentioned with Vladar. You want to talk about opportunities? Guys had opportunities again. Power play opportunities do this. So he's another guy that if you're looking at it from that selfish player perspective, it's all there for you. Just got to come in and play better and establish yourself as I have to be in that pair.
And that's what I give the Flyers credit for, is I feel like there's not a long leash, but you look at the opportunities a ton of players have gotten here. And that's why I never feel bad or don't feel like I have complete confidence in saying, you know what, this guy might not just be it. And I don't think we're quite there with Zamula, but you look at the questions of someone like a Jamie Drysdale, or you look at Sam Ersson. Like if Sam Ersson doesn't take the reins and win this job this season, by the end of the year, I'll be totally okay and have complete confidence in saying, you know what, he's just not it. Because look at the opportunity he was given. Look at the chances, the time they spent into this. It wasn't like a short leash where they just pulled it and said, nah, you're not it.
Yeah, and you think that, he's going to be an NHL goaltender, no doubt. But a backup, is going to be a backup goaltender. There's a big difference. He's got that opportunity now, and to say nothing of Olympic opportunities that are coming up for some of these guys. So you'll have that opportunity. And Zamula too. Plus, these guys are going to have to look over their shoulders. There's a guy like Bonk coming up. They've got players in the pipeline. It's a weird spot for the Flyers right now. It's like guys on this roster right now. It's not somebody on the bench that they're looking at to take their job. It's names that they see that have been drafted recently that are starting to get some seasoning that are going to be able to come in and step in and take some jobs. Yeah,
and Danny Briere put it point blank, and I think Flyers fans should love that he said this earlier this week, that no job is safe. That you look at someone like Zamula, and it's almost like Danny wants them to be looking over their shoulder, because I think you see the talent level of these young guys and this discrepancy. It's a night and day difference. The issue is just, are they ready or not?
Yeah. And for, to look at it from a really an evil point of view, I guess, if you're in the front office, it's like, if these guys play better, and then I know my kids are playing better, if we're not in it at the trade deadline, we can turn this into something because it's not going to fit into our plans with the kids that we have coming up. So there's like 3 levels going on here. But for the fan, it's like, you know what? It's been a long time since the playoffs. I don't want to hear about this. I want this team to make some sort of playoff run. At least give me some hope in the second half of the season that we can be in touch with the playoff spot.
Right. And especially in order to do that, you're going to need your stars to be stars. And the concerns of game one, that's why I'm like, I know I'm being dramatic, but the top 6, the first 2 lines, basically invisible. Travis Konechny had a pretty solid chance in the third period, but we did not say Matvei Michkov's name. We did not take Trevor Zegras' name the entire first game broadcast. That's a problem when they go unnoticed.
Yeah, and it's a problem more than just, it's also a problem in terms of just how the team is viewed. Like you wanted, when you add Zegras and you have Michkov and Konechny's a quote star player coming up, Team Canada candidate, you need some electricity. And we didn't have, at least I didn't think there was much of that. There were a couple of opportunities. Michkov kind of drags it in behind the goal, tries to bank a shot off. But to me, that has to come. Michkov's just too good a player. In one game, obviously, against Florida. It's hard to judge. What I wanted to see was some sort of, whether it was with Konechny, with Zegras, or Michkov with Zegras on the power play, I want to see something there that leads me to believe the Flyers go down. They're one goal down, and there's a combination on the ice that's like, you know what? This could happen right now. And that's what I think you want to see. Stay in the games for, keep in the game, defensive systems that they have, whatever, but have the game breakers. And I'm assuming that Zegras, Michkov, Konechny, those guys, and Tippett also throw them into that, in addition to the one line we've already talked about, that you have guys that can kind of break a game or win a game late. And that's what you wanted to see. You didn't see it in game one, but it's hard to say that it's going to be a missing ingredient when you're playing the Panthers, who basically snuff out a lot of stuff anyway. And Carolina is much the same way. But you want to see that, even if it doesn't turn into that goal, the opportunities to set it up, to move it around, to tic-tac-toe it, if you will.
Right. I think that's the moral of the story to take away from this podcast. All we just talked about, while they are issues, let's give it some time. We have to give it, 2 weeks?
It's only the beginning of the season. It's not the end of the season. Like the
and I think it's the dooms of Philadelphia is raining down on this. But it's been one game. Coach Taka, it was almost like Coach Taka was reminding himself of that. In post-game, you'd see him getting a little riled up, and he'd say, but it's only the first game. And then he'd get riled up again, but it's only the first game. So I think that's a key memory right now.
First game, and he'll have many more to talk about, hopefully with different results.
That is the hope. That is South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original, brought to you by 94 WIP. We'll be back early next week to break down this weekend's game and get you ready for a long hockey season ahead.